Welcome to the Getting Active podcast, where I'll be discussing clubs, sports, and news around the school. I'm Eva Johnson, and today we'll be talking to
Mr. Agate. Thanks, Eva, for having me.
Okay. So first question, can you do a quick introduction for listeners that don't know you, like your position at the school and the responsibilities you have?
Okay, so this is my second year as the library aide, obviously in Hershey High School Library. I'm in charge of basically managing the space, helping Ms. Henning, who is our librarian, shelve books, process new books. There's a lot going on. We have, the printer in the school, laminator. So it's very busy, but it's fun and I really enjoy it.
Okay. And then can you tell me about your background, like where you went to college, any academics, coaching any sports, and your hobbies?
That's a great question. And pretty much I went to Central Dauphin East, then to Shippensburg University, where I ran track and field and majored in business. So I have a bachelor's degree in business administration. I worked a ton of jobs over the years, man. So it's funny how I ended up in education. I never thought I'd be working in education, but basically I spent a lot of time working in a running store. I had my own business reselling sneakers. So it's been an exciting ride, but then I started substitute teaching for like 3 years, but like it seemed like 1 year because I literally like worked 1 day a week. Because at the time I was still flipping my sneakers, and so subbing was just another way to supplement my income. But my hobbies, I still like to run. I am a volunteer coach for cross country. This is my first season doing that, so that's fun. And I'm just, I just stay busy.
Okay. And then how did your background lead you to where you are right now?
Well, like I said, like I never thought this would even be something that I would do, but um, I don't know. Like, believe it or not, back in the day, like some of my friends were like, "You should have, you should have majored in education. You should be a teacher." And I thought about it because my mom is a retired school teacher. She taught second grade for like ever, and so it did cross my mind. I wonder if I'd be a good teacher. Then a million years went by, and then all of a sudden I'm in Hershey High School. I'm not really a teacher. Well, I guess I am a teacher. And here I am in the library. So it's funny how things work out.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
I agree, Eva.
Okay, and then, well, I guess you already answered this, but what do you do for cross country and why did you join it? Like, why did you become a volunteer?
Well, long story short, but this is pretty cool. Like, there's a coach, the legendary Coach Fricky, who coached Hershey High School cross country for 40 plus years. I want to say 48 years. I want to say 45 years, but let's just say 40 plus years because I'm not sure of the exact number. Think about that for a second.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. So he finally retired last year, and Coach G, Mr. Gustantino, the longtime assistant coach, is now the head coach. So him and I talked, and I've known Mr. Gustantino forever because he used to shop at the running store that I worked at. And so we talked, and coach is like, yeah, come on board as a volunteer because there's no assistant coaching positions. I'm like, sure, man, anything to help because running is a passion of mine. And as you know, I really like all the kids at the high school, and I just want to help. So that's what I'm doing, and it's just been a great experience so far.
Okay. And then, when did you start working at Hershey High School?
I want to say it was the winter of 2022. As a matter of fact, I think when I first started, you were a freshman, I think.
Okay. So 4 years?
Yeah, sort of, kind of. And again, I just started my second year full time as a Derry Township School District employee. But subbing was fun. It really was. I miss it, actually.
And then why did you choose to work as a library aide?
Well, that's a great question. All right, first of all, I've known Ms. Shepard, who was the previous library aide. I've known her forever. And on top of that, I've known Ms. Henning forever because she's my younger sister's really good friend.
Didn't you go to high school together?
Yep, and Ms. Henning and I went to high school together. Actually, I mean, I was in 12th grade and she was like in 8th or 9th grade, so we weren't in the same building. She was like in the junior high. But the point is, I've known her forever. So I said, you know what? This might be a cool opportunity when Miss Shepard left for another job. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I want to help Ms. Henning out. I love the school, and boom, here I am.
And didn't you substitute for the library sometimes?
Absolutely, and that's a good point because when Ms. Shepard left, we still had 2 months left in the school year. So at the time, I was still substitute teaching. So Ms. Schmidt had me like basically work in the library for those 2 months. So that gave me a really strong idea of what my job responsibilities were going to be moving forward. And so after those 2 months, I was like, you know what? I know what to expect. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. Okay, and then what's your favorite part of the job?
Oh, my favorite part of the job is just interacting with everyone, the students, staff, the community. I try to like we talked about, I volunteer cross-country coach. I try to go to all the games. I try to support everyone, and I just like talking to people and building that connection, which I feel is so important as an educator, and just as a human being.
Yeah. Okay. And then for the library questions, when does it open, or when did it open for the school year?
Well, we're open every day in the morning. Like it's 7:05, the doors open. Students come in and congregate and hang out before first period. But technically, to answer your question, because of all the orientations and Ms. Smith having internship meetings, there was a lot of stuff going on where the library was occupied. So we weren't able to open officially till September 15th for study halls, and unfortunately, we're not even open yet for lunches, but we're doing that October 1st. But as Ms. Henning always says, the library is never closed. We're open all the time, but basically that was the timeline for this year.
Okay. And then how does the library work, and what are the main rules that students should follow?
Okay, well, basically, back in the day when I went to high school, it was the library was like, shh, it's a library. Yeah. That traditional library, you go in there and you can't talk, you read or you study, and that was it. Ms. Henning has done a great job of adapting and growing and changing with the times. And now the library is more of a hub where a lot of things are going on, and it's great because we stay busy. Students want to come down here. So basically the expectations are when you come down here, you should have a purpose, whether you're reading, checking out a book, studying, and you just have to be respectful, follow the few simple rules that we have, which is pretty much just like any other classroom. But yeah, it's so dynamic and it's exciting because every day is different. And that's, I think, another reason why I really like working in the library.
So, do you guys have, a spot where, people can read?
Yeah, we have way back in the library, we have what we call the independent workspace or independent reading space. So kids can go back there, not to talk, but just to do their own thing individually. Then the rest of the space, the middle and towards the front of the library, of course, there's a lot of different activities going on. People can talk, play games, do homework, read, but then we have the think tank. And right now, as a matter of fact, as we're speaking, Eva, in the think tank, we have a class in there. So a teacher's in there with some students, and that's sort of a quiet space too. And if it's not occupied, sometimes students will ask us, hey, can we go back there to the think tank and shoot a video or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot going on, different spaces within the space. Yeah. It's really cool.
And teachers can bring their classes in. Because sometimes my classes come in here to present stuff.
Yeah, and that's why we were sort of booked the first few weeks of the school year and not officially open because all the ninth grade English classes were coming down here, and Ms. Henning would do a presentation and talk about our library and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so a lot of times there are classes being held in the library. Again, just a lot going on, and it's very dynamic.
Okay, and then are there any like events happening in the library that people should know about?
Eva, these questions are on point. Very good stuff, because I wouldn't even remember to talk about some of this stuff because there's so much going on. But yeah, I can't wait. We have like, for example, Thanksgiving, we have a Friendsgiving where people can sign up, bring in food, we hang out. It's just a good way to interact with people. And just like Valentine's Day during Valentine's Day. We might even do something for the first time for Halloween, which is coming up in about a month. I suggested that. But so, and then we have a faculty luncheon in here, like a lot of clubs, because there's a million clubs at Hershey High School, meet in the library after school and stuff. So it's, again, so much going on in the library. It's like it's the coolest place to be.
Okay, and then can you talk to me about the library advisory board?
Oh, the library advisory board, Ms. Henning's in charge of. So students can sign up, because basically, Ms. Henning and I, there's so much to do. So we have students that can help us do like tasks and stuff throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the school year. So that's what the library advisory board is, to sort of help out, to maybe give us ideas from the student's perspective as far as like, oh, well, maybe we should do this in the library or whatever. So that's basically what the library advisory board's about.
And then do you have a classroom assistant this year? Because I remember being one.
Yeah, and by the way, we missed you, Eva. But
that was the year that you weren't here.
Yeah, you're right.
Grade, but like still.
But like still, you came down anyway, even to always help. And that's the other cool thing. Like there's always students reaching out to help us. But we have a classroom assistant and a library intern. To be honest, they sort of do the same type of tasks, but it's two different, like, I guess Ms. Smith's in charge of both, but we have two, one library assistant, library intern, and one classroom assistant. And that helps too, because again, there's so much to do in here. Their help is invaluable.
And do you know who they are, like their names?
Yep, so we have Elle Dunkel is our library intern, and our classroom assistant is, I believe, Olivia O'Connor. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what's up.
Okay. And then you kind of already mentioned this, but like, how do you get involved with the school, and like, how can other students like get involved? Because like you said that you go to like the football games. Is there anything else you do?
Actually, I feel it's important that during the announcements or community periods, if there's something going on, if there's a club or a sports team that feels like they're not getting a lot of representation at the games or whatever, that's a good opportunity to say, hey, pop out to the girls field hockey game today. I feel like that's what the announcements are for. That's what community periods for. If there's something that needs to be said to reach, just like basically, for whatever the case may be, getting the word out. But yeah, that's pretty much, like, again, I'm just a volunteer coach for cross country. I go to games. Oh, I am a co-advisor for a new club called DIY Club. It's the Do It Yourself Club. We are it's pending, awaiting the school board approval, which shouldn't be a problem. So I'm almost, sometimes I go home and I'm like, am I doing too much?
No.
But at the end of the day, like, I'm built for this.
And don't you also like help out with the fundraisers? Like you buy stuff from students?
All right. Whoever your boss is, Eva, I'm going to say that you're doing a great job, and these questions are awesome. Yeah, so I try to save my money because I know there's so many fundraisers and students hit me up left and right. Hey, Mr. Agate, can you you want to buy a sub to support like the band or whatever, and I'm like doing it. Like I'm.
And you do the tickets at the football game.
Yeah. Oh, and I buy the ticket. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The cheerleaders come up. No, I've never won. But it's not about like I don't really care if I win. And actually, as a matter of fact, I'm just saying, Eva, when I get all this food delivered after I buy everything from all the different teams and clubs and band and everything, and then I get the deliveries, I basically give out the food that I bought. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about supporting. It's about supporting you.
Yeah. Okay, and then what's one advice you would give someone listening to this? Like your best advice.
My best advice is don't let your high school experience pass you by. In other words, I know it's stressful at times with all the schoolwork and the demands of being, going to, picking out a school and sports and parents and friends and drama. I get it. But at the end of the day, you need to take a step back, take a deep breath, look around, take it all in, be outgoing. Like, don't be afraid to try new things.
You shouldn't care what other people think.
That's the bottom line, and you should not care what other people think. And it's just not students, Eva. Adults, they struggle with some of the same things too, worrying about what other people think and just like being stressed out. But high school's supposed to be one of the best times of your life. So if, try to balance everything. And I know that's hard to do sometimes. So remember that.
Just enjoy the present.
Enjoy the present, because you don't want to be my age and look back and say, oh, I wish I tried this, or oh, I wish I introduced myself to this person. And so that's a great question to sort of like sum it all up, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, and then is there anything else you want the listeners to know about you, the school, or just in general?
Well, basically, hey, look, if you're listening to this podcast and you never step foot in the library, pop in, introduce yourself to me, and that'd be cool, man. So I really appreciate you having me as a guest, Eva, and this podcast is awesome, and your questions were lit, and like, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes.